Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Blended Learning, Increasing Your Investment in Content Retention. My name is David Peralta. I am an Area Marketing Manager here at Minitab. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. We have a member of our analytics consultants, Jose Padilla, helping with questions, so please submit any questions you have during the presentation. We recommend viewing this webinar via laptop or PC for the best results. If you experience a delay or sync issues with the audio and slides, please exit the webinar and rejoin or refresh your page. We will send a copy of the recording following the webinar, so there's no problem if you miss anything or you'd like to review afterwards. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter today, Scott Williams. Scott is Minitab Senior Director of Global Customer Success. He has 20 plus years of experience leading organizations in a variety of roles where education and execution are embedded into his leadership approach. At Minitab, Scott oversees all Minitab customer success teams. So we're super excited to have Scott present today's webinar today. And with that, I'll kick it off to Scott.
Thank you, David. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to go through our webinar today. There are, many aspects to learning from all of our jobs that we have, from leadership to individual contributors to the day-to-day that we do. And I think it's important that embedded in anyone's role that we're always trying to learn and grow. So what we're going to cover today is how, first we're going to look at a learning and development outlook more on the global scale of how organizations are learning. We're going to look a little bit at a model for learning for individuals. How people learn goes a long way with how they consume content and how they retain content. And then we're going to look at some other aspects of Minitab strategy that helps with this, and I'll tie it all back together with this learning and development model. There's been a lot of research out there in learning and development, and some of the things that we have seen as we've done our own research with our strategies is that the market is ever increasing as far as growth opportunity, people really wanting to develop their employees, and how that transitions just creates this opportunity for you as a learner or as a leader or as an individual contributor to consume different aspects of content. Traditional approaches that people have typically taken, they're not as practical as they once were. A lot of L&D leaders, they're looking at new ways to engage employees and support their change initiatives, whether it be a project, whether it be growing individuals into a management role. And some of those critical challenges that they're all facing is that you can't take a one-size-fits-all approach. Different people, different ways they learn, which I've mentioned, but also different activities, different content, different jobs. It doesn't all apply to have one single type of philosophy. That brings other burdens like capacity and resources. End up being a great challenge. L&D departments only have so many individuals, and they're supporting entire organizations. While you're trying to develop, this type of approach, assessing gaps and opportunities can often be a weakness of a learning and development department, mainly because they don't have the expertise and the time to understand every little intricacy about every department within the organization. And then you get to, when you have some of these other challenges, really designing what's called an experiential learning journey. And an experiential learning journey we're going to look at here in 1 second that's related to a model that I'd like to share with you. The overarching premise here is trying to understand the learner to best improve the results of any education that you're providing. This is a model that's been heavily researched. It's called a 70-20-10 model. We're going to take a look at this model, and my hope is that maybe something here will resonate with you as part of this webinar, or elements of it that you're doing or not doing or are interested in doing, and try to explore that a little bit further. I want to give you one caveat that this model of blended learning is not required for what I'm going to show you on the blended learning strategy that we have. However, it's a very good foundation for understanding your learners. And we look at this aspect as well in how we deliver content to our consumers and our customers. So what is a 70-20-10 model? Well, L&D, they suggest that the employee's knowledge and skills are really acquired from these three breakdowns. 70% of someone's knowledge and how they grow is really on-the-job experiences, giving people certain tasks, certain projects. We're going to look at this in sort of a better view here in a minute. 20% of their learning is through social interactions and feedback, and that's through workshops or forums or groups you may be a member of on a social media platform, or as part of your organization. And then 10% is also gained from formal training and education, and really getting a basis and a foundation for what you're learning and what you want to apply. There's a balance to these three types of learning activities. You can see below that the balance there that we have, I've listed out a little bit more details, kind of what I set up above. Tasks, challenges, projects to learn by doing, letting a learner make mistakes, letting a learner solve problems. That's the experiential bucket. That's where many people thrive. They learn by doing, and they can walk away from an experience saying, okay, I know which path to go forward. Social, there's not just forums and groups out there, but there's also mentorship, right? As leaders, there's often coaching for leaders in organizations of how to mentor individuals. There's often mentorship programs in organizations for other peer-to-peer mentorship, or even mentoring interns that we often see. And then there's the formal aspect, and the formal aspect of the workshops, the courses, right? Even e-learning and studying. Some people learn at their own pace, and a classroom setting is not quite adequate for them, but they can learn through e-learning with the appropriate technology. So here is the model. You see we have our 70-20-10 and the different types of learning from experience, learning from others, and structured learning. Decision-making, problem-solving, stretch assignments, shadowing, those are good learning from experience. And I would venture to say that in our day-to-day, many of us are already doing this. Our learning from others, we've talked about a few times, getting that coaching, the mentoring, the feedback, and then our structured learning. You're all here on a webinar. This can be considered structured learning. You may walk away from this and walk into, how do I execute on that? Let me learn from some other folks. Let me then go and try to put together a program for people. Very important to understand these buckets, because the learner's journey is really how you increase the content retention. Was the information there? Did we give them enough opportunity to not just learn in a structured learning setting, but then continue on that learning journey so that they could then apply what they learned? Now, how would I use a model that is what I just explained? Well, I had mentioned one of those critical things that the L&D research has shown where people struggle with, and that's, how do I assess the gaps that I have, and how do I develop a program or a learning program that really will benefit somebody? And I've drilled this down into what I'll call, 4 phases with any learning program that you have. You want to spend some time in the discovery aspect. Discover your current and desired competencies, your goals, and your interests, not only of yourself and what you're trying to educate somebody on, but also, if you happen to be a manager, of your employees or a leader of an organization. It's very important for the morale fact that people are getting fed in their career growth. You want to assess the feasibility and develop a plan that incorporates the three types of learning that I mentioned. Instead of just saying, in my assessment, I know I need an e-learning course, and I'm just going to develop that. But don't ignore the other two. Remember, the journey is not just a one stop. To deploy is really your next step. You want to provide the opportunities for the employees using those three experiences that we just talked about. And then optimizing. Probably one of the most important things in any learning strategy, learning program, growing employees is actually creating a culture of feedback. Not only that will improve the learning, but can incorporate new ideas. And you can do that through using analytics, depending on what you're tracking as you're doing your learning, or if you're using technology. All of those aspects to continuously update the experiences that you've created so that you're not just simply creating course after course after course, you're creating this full breadth of experience. Where we have seen people run into challenges using this model, large organizations don't often communicate across their functions or even across their companies with what is their learning strategy and what do they need to do. And so what ends up happening is you have siloed programs that have various success and higher employee turnover. Some people are talented at developing learning experiences. Some people, they also need coaching. They need to learn by making mistakes and thereby can't drive the results. There's a gap in knowledge and expertise to create programs and experiences within the industry. Well, that can be a challenge if you're somebody who knows your business world very well, but do not understand how to then train someone and grow someone. There could be a low quality program, less opportunities for our three types of learning. And so the blended learning model will struggle to find results. In many organizations, there's a lack of technology for the formal aspect. If you recall our formal aspect, that is where we have e-learning. And most then of these formal experiences, classroom training, workshops, they're all done through sessions that take multiple hours to attend, sometimes involve travel, and can cause, a delay in the results that you're looking for. We talked about lack of resources, and if we don't have enough investment in those things, your program could be smaller. Your topics could be more geared towards wide audiences and less focused on specific segments that really are what you're trying to achieve in your own growth or in your company's growth of the employees. And then there's always the risk of lack of commitment to focus on the employee's growth when the resources are available. And if we don't take that initiative, then we could be losing valued employees and have turnover. So what I'd like to share with you now is how Minitab has considered in our blended learning strategic approach with our customers in our market, how we can execute on a model like this to help overcome some of these challenges that folks may have. Some of you may be familiar with this if you've ever engaged with our Minitab customer success teams, but I have a simple way of looking at this holistically. Our blended learning approach using multiple delivery methods and services increases adoption and consumption of content from deployment through continuing education. Our technology, course content, and statistics expertise reduces burden on resources who have to do it all and create experiences for the learner. The reason I read through that is because that's a powerful statement in my mind related to, as your partner, we want to make sure that the industries that are out there that require the expertise have less burden on themselves to think through it all, and can really rely on Minitab to be a partner in that aspect. To accomplish the objective that you see here, or the quote as I've listed it for our approach, we use two elements. And those two elements are blended together. One element covers our experiences learning, our formal learning, and our social learning. And we blend that together, which we're going to look at in a minute. You can think of this as we're not just teaching software. As a software company, we're a solutions company. And so we're teaching statistic theory-based problems. We're also doing how-to technical training within each of our courses. And so that's one of our advantages that we have in our program. We're also mentoring, solving problems, providing analysis for everyday learning through our consultation and our workshops with our customer base, based off of our expertise of our teams. Now, our second element to tie back into both of those, the training that you may have experienced, the mentorship, or the consultation, is actually technology. And our technology is a strategic component in this strategy. Its two biggest advantages are low administrative burden for people who are an administrator, and a high learner experience for the user that is there truly to grow in that model and be a part of each of those learning experiences. Holistically, what you see on the screen, this is our strategy. I'm going to walk you through these strategy components as we go through the next few minutes of this webinar. But imagine, if you will, I'm on a journey with my own education. I am new to the world of statistics and analytics, fresh out of college, or even have been around for 20 years. But I've never used Minitab or had an experience with Minitab. In our journey of our strategy, as a user, there is deployment services, best practices in MSS that are offered and available to me that will not only help me get me up to speed on the product, but also help me understand what's the best way to use it for my particular use case. I may be lacking in some detailed knowledge that I just don't have time to have a analytics consultant spend 5 hours with me. And I learn at a pace where I want to do some quizzes and quality checks of my own work. And through my Education Hub content, I will have the ability to do that. We're going to talk a little bit in more detail about the Education Hub in a minute. I also feel that for myself, not only having that as a prep and as a best practices, I'm really interested in diving into more design of experiment work as part of my job. And so I don't necessarily need to just be trained on the tool and how to do my analysis. I need an overarching and more detailed look at certain design of experiment content. So through a virtual training or an on-premise training where I can have folks come to my organization, I will be able to receive that. Now, once I've been delivered that training, I really want to take a look at what I have and my data and my project initially to say, how can I use that in what I just learned the past 2 days? And that's where our workshop comes in, and spending some time directly with our customers to apply what was just learned. We've gone through that. I now feel a little bit more comfortable. I've understood some gaps that I may have. I want to apply those things, and through my experience, the 70% bucket, I want to make some mistakes, but I also want to do a really good job and get things right. And so what I may need to do is have a consultant and have an analytics consultant right there with me, mentoring me in the steps that I'm trying to achieve. And when that analytics consultant may not be available because I have Education Hub content and I need a refresher, I can revisit the technology as much as often as needed and track along with what I'm doing. Now, when we look at this strategy, let's break it down a little bit. I've done a little bit of that for you, but to give you just some quick snippets of each of these segments. In our deployment, we focus on what we call a deployment journey. I love the word journey, as you've heard now multiple times in this webinar, because things don't happen overnight, no matter where you are. In our personal lives, in our professional lives, it takes a little time. And a journey is a perfect way to describe that. What we focus on with a customer in the deployment is really working with them to make sure the best practices. Minitab is a large platform, has a lot of features. We want to make sure the best practices that we're providing are best practices around what people really are purchasing Minitab or actively using Minitab for, even if it's on the newest release. So we go through this journey with our key partners, and 8 weeks to optimization. Some may say that's quite a bit of time. Others may say that's a perfect time. Our goal there is to have interaction with you and with our customers so that we give you time to absorb what we've gone through and learned. Our technology, solutions to problems is what I like to say. We're providing solutions, and technology and resources. We talked about earlier the challenges, the critical challenges that L&D programs go through. In the technology bucket, their content, our content is consistent with the tools of our industry. In many organizations, there's no content in the LMS around those tools. It's usually developed by the groups within the functions, and they don't have the technical expertise to get it into an LMS. Our content also available multilingual. Across the globe, we have various users that need to learn in different languages. And so we want to make sure that we do that, and we do. There are other aspects to our technology that are powerful that we'll look at in a minute, but also our solution provides the resources. We're focused on experiential learning opportunities, actually giving you some time back to focus on those experiential learning opportunities, or partner with us to do so. At the same time, the content that you desire, that content's developed by Minitab experts, degreed statisticians. You're going to see in a minute, I'll show you where that is available to you to look at their expertise. Overall, there's less effort determining how to build certain course content and allowing us to take that burden. So our Education Hub, many of you may have experienced Quality Trainer in the past, and this is not just Quality Trainer. This is the next evolution. We take an approach that we call learning paths, and those learning paths are focused on users and users' level of expertise and what they need to learn, and have made that very easy to navigate. They're self-guided, they have assessments. It actually allows someone, as an individual learner or as a leader, to give specific paths so that people don't feel overwhelmed of taking a lot of content, which many of you may know that we have. Some of those examples that are in those learning paths are data, foundations of data analysis. We're covering things such as statistical inference or correlation and simple regression. We also have what we call primers, downloadable white papers directly in our content that you are able to take away in case you would like to use them or share them with someone else. Statistical quality analysis includes things around control charts, process capability, those different types of topics. Now, design of experiments, I've mentioned earlier, and we cover, we have a course on design of experiments. We also have primers on t-tests and for effects. And then our predictive analytics is always our newest initiative. We cover things like multiple regression and predictive analytics, and CART is coming soon. Now, I could sit here and go through what's all in this particular in the Education Hub, but we've made that readily available as you continue to look at how you're going to build your learning strategy and see if there is a fit. And here, there's a link that will be posted for you that are in attendance to get to these places. But if you look on our website, under our Education Hub section, you can actually download a table of contents for everything that's in there. But more importantly, you can quickly scroll what are in the learning plans that Scott mentioned today and see topics of interest that might tell you what all kind of information we include. Now, if I go back to give you some other technology advantages, the low administrative burden is important because a lot of times in an organization, as someone who's trying to build that, has to understand their time commitment. Our licensed admin, as I said before, can enroll people in paths. But what I really want to point out here is I've given you kind of a display of different reports that are included in the Education Hub that give you easy access to understanding completions, progress, interaction of the learners. And there are also, we're going to see this in a minute, for the learners. Being able to track how successful you're being is very important to creating a culture of feedback. In many platforms, just like with the internet, we want to search for a topic. Many people will search on hypothesis testing, and all of a sudden you will get articles and you will end up getting videos and everything on the internet. Well, one of the values of having a platform is the ability for your learner to easily search for a topic, get all the content that's relative to them that they have access to, and watch e-learnings or download white papers. Furthering that, as a learner, I want to know my activity, how long am I spending, what's my progress, can I go back and pick up where I left off? Key things that the Education Hub provides and allows me, again, to be responsible for my own learning and development. Many people don't kind of take that into consideration, that as an employee, it's my job for my own learning and development, and it's my leader's job to mentor me and provide me opportunities where possible. Correlations between completions and amount of time spent for a learner can also be very advantageous. If we continue down that journey, I mentioned training and workshops. And what many people don't realize is the breadth and depth of training that we do here at Minitab for our customers. In fact, you're going to see in a few minutes, we do that repetitively for several customers. Our training is flexible. It's hands-on training. It can be done virtually. It can be done in person. We deliver globally. We can do it in multiple languages. We have materials in multiple languages. But one of the big value points is it's a mixture of theory and technical application. It's not just how do I click buttons in a piece of software. It's what am I doing? What problem am I trying to solve? And what is the tool within the software that best solves that problem? And at many organizations, some folks can't get a group of people together to do a personalized training. Some can. So we also offer that from a public aspect and a public schedule where users individually can come and attend that. The workshops, very popular with many customers that do several of our courses together, do two-day courses, get themselves to 4 day, and say, on the 5th day, could you stay and do a workshop and really put the input of my data and apply it to what we just learned. And so we can do that. We can do that because not only are our team members understanding our platform, but our team members have various backgrounds across the various industries, various skill sets, and are certified to deliver the courses that our customers have engaged them with. You can see that we have different roles. On our website, this page is available. The link will be available as well to the audience here. And Jose, who is on the call with us today, he's one of our senior analytics consultants. You can understand a little bit about Jose and his background if he's coming to you. or if you're interested in engaging with him. Best-in-class analytics and industry-related training tracks. Why do I put that out here in kind of bold? Because what many people in building their learning program and their learning model struggle with is, well, how do I fit the topics into the industry that I'm in? There are many different applications. I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Minitab has already done that work. We have done the work and catered our content into what we call training tracks. And in several organizations, we have customers in the healthcare field. Several of our customers deal in healthcare manufacturing. Some people deal in medical device. Some just deal in healthcare. We've designed training tracks to help guide them around what they should be taking and in what sequence. So if you're interested in understanding where I fit in this bucket, all it takes is a short conversation. Let's go through that. I'm going to show you in a minute where you can get the details on this particular material, so it'll better help you understand as you're on your assessing journey as part of our earlier presentation. Which leads me to our virtual catalog, exactly where you can find the information. When you're on Minitab's website, we list all of the offerings that we have to help you with this learning and development part of your organization, even if you're just a single learner. In our website, all of our courses are listed, our tracks. We talked about Minitab Essentials for Healthcare. You can see here, we also offer Minitab Essentials for Pharmaceutical. Different examples to apply to the individuals that we're speaking. But each of our courses is listed here on our website. Through simple clicks on the left, you have the ability to easily look at the topics, see different examples of what Minitab software capability are, and then we tie that back into our learning. We also offer suggestions on prerequisites, provide sample materials for our courses. The message I'm trying to convey here to folks is, as your partner, we want to make sure that you're successful and that your contribution to your organization is impactful. And in many cases, when you're dealing with data analytics and statistics, it's precision driven to ensure that what you're doing is accurate. And however we can help with that, that's what we want to focus on. So I'm not going to go too much through the website additionally, but know that under our training section, under services, you have access to see what that catalog is and start a conversation. Let's continue with Scott on his journey. And I've moved into my experience, learning from experience and trying to solve some problems, having a mentor. Maybe I have a project. What many organizations need is sort of that outside expertise that has the time to focus on the very specific example that's going on. In fact, sometimes in an organization, no one knows how to solve the problem, but someone outside the organization who has experienced a similar problem across an entire industry may. And Minitab has the ability to do both what we call fixed projects and on-demand hours. Fixed projects are a problem there is to solve. You need a specific expertise. Might even be automation services to customize aspect of Minitab. Think of that as more technical and doing some efficient processing. And we scope that, and then we work with our customers and complete that project from start to end. Other customers who are interested in experiences, they just want to have Jose on speed dial. They want to have Jose available to them maybe every couple of weeks. Pick his brain, ask him some problems, and see and offer him some solutions. They basically want to say, I want to learn by making mistakes, but if I make a mistake, I want to have a resource there that can immediately say, here's where you made that mistake. Here's where we should have taken a different path. We do a gamut of things in that arena for our customers. Everything from giving that coaching to statistical collaboration about which path to go, allowing you to make the decision with an expert that's there. Here are a few examples of some things that we've done in the user community and in the customer community. We work with an automotive and aerospace supplier to compare logistic regression models for predicting the probability of an airplane window breakage for two materials based on velocity. That's a mouthful. But as a leader of an organization, there are a lot of different teams that I oversee. Some are much more technical in their delivery, configuration driven, integration driven. Others, we're doing some things that I didn't even know existed prior to showing up at Minitab in 2020. From a training aspect, we've worked with multiple organizations where we are there for all their new hires on an annual basis. And being there, we're teaching the same course set as we evolve with our software and our content that we're delivering. We incorporate that into all of our courses. And so we have a major medical device manufacturer, and we do an annual series of courses for them. New hires, it's refresher training for existing employees that can come. We do it face-to-face in a classroom setting every year. We also do this with a tool manufacturer, except we focus on more advanced topics. So not really about the new hire and the initial essentials training of statistics and foundation of data analysis, but get into more things like reliability to determine how long their products are going to end up lasting that they're selling out in the market. So let's tie it back to our solutions into the 70-20-10 model, okay? This is a repeat of the slide before with some minor changes that I'll show you in a minute. But we talked about my journey through the learning strategy that is here at Minitab. Learning from experience, learning from others, and structured learning. And I talked about how our strategy tries to account for all of this for the sake of the learner and the sake of an organization. And so when we look at things like learning from experience, the 70%, Minitab has the ability to partner with our customers and organizations for the betterment of that organization through fixed projects, right? One of those examples I mentioned, process optimization. Through on-demand hours where we can do data analysis, correlating data analysis and correlating services. That helps with your stretch assignments. That helps with the decision making and the problem solving. When we look at learning from others, in our 20% with communities of practice, networks, coaching, mentoring, feedback, well, we can get feedback directly from the technology with our education of how someone is doing, right? See how how people are progressing through our suite of courses that we have. We can do our post-training workshops. That's a community of people who just went through training and talking about their specific examples. They receive coaching and mentoring there. Our training suite, as well as our workshops, fit into that learning from others. If you're in a public training, you're there with other like-minded individuals learning the same topic. And then in our 10%, structured learning, you see some of the same things that you find in the 20%, because usually your community is people that you work with. So our education hub that we talked about, the training suite of information that we have, our deployment services fit into that structured learning, captive audience, what are our best practices for what we need to do, self-paced learning on our own to really absorb and quiz ourselves, but also have our quizzes available to us to learn from and go back and retake material. And then post-training workshops, again, a structured learning setting. When I, as the learner, have all of these things available to me in some capacity or another, I am often more inclined to, one, personally go and attend different courses because they are there. I learn better by being in person, in a room with individuals in a structured learning setting. And then carrying that into learning from experience, where my preferred method is to decision make, problem solve. And honestly, I love making mistakes when I make them because I learn best from those mistakes, both from a personal development standpoint and a problem solving standpoint. This journey here and this approach could be a major benefit to your organization. And even if Minitab wasn't a part of that journey, I'm very hopeful that understanding the 70-20-10 model for yourself or for your company can help you really empower people to learn and develop, to grow in the best way that they know how. We're going to turn it over to some Q&A that's out there.
Thank you, Scott. So please submit any questions you'd like answered today in the Q&A box now. While we wait for some of those questions to come in, we ask that you provide your valuable feedback by taking the survey accessible from the pink survey box at the bottom of this window. Scott, it seems like we have a question here from Mike. Can you comment on strategies for and benefits of enhanced engagement of learners? An example, gamification.
I can at a high level, Mike. Gamification is a very popular way to engage the learner. Usually requires the right technology for that. Very stimulating to the mind of a learner through games. Again, it's another way of it fits in your social experiences when you end up with your leaderboards and how you're doing that. I guess the crux of a strategy and benefits for enhanced engagement of learners, topics that remain untouched without feedback, that are more basic and don't evolve, really drive learners to say, I already know that, or I don't know the details of that. If your strategy focuses on taking the old, which is still applicable, and revitalizing it, such as with gamification, it gives a learner a break from the traditional course classroom to say, I'm going to take an effort here, I'm going to do this, and I'll have some fun while I'm doing it. Those experiences with workshops do the same thing, putting people together to dialogue.
All right, thank you, Scott. We have another question here. Do you offer deployment services for products outside of Minitab statistical software?
Absolutely, we do. For all of our products, there is a deployment service. If you have a further interest on that, please reach out to sales. We'll get you to your account rep and we'll talk you through those.
I see a lot of questions about getting the recording. Yes, we will share the recording of this webinar as soon as we're done. I know we have a lot of questions coming in. We have a question from Bill. How much does it cost the individual learner if your company already uses Minitab?
Great question. If you want, again, you want to reach out to sales, it's very affordable. I didn't put that slide in here. If you're talking about the Education Hub content, again, because there's various options. There's public training aspect of the workshops, or sorry, of the courses for a price, depending on how many courses you want to take, whether it's 1 day or 2 day. The Education Hub content has another price. Please feel free to reach out to sales on that. But individual, we have plenty of individual users of the Education Hub that the entire company does not have the subscriptions with the company, but one person has purchased that by getting approval through their managers.
Great, thank you,
I
Scott.
think that may answer. I think there was also one other question on, I'm speaking at organizational level. Is this possible if desired by an individual who wants to follow these learning paths? For context there, the learning paths are based off of an individual. I portrayed the entire strategy. That strategy is available to a single individual that they could follow to grow themselves as well.
Great. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. Maybe you could go to the next slide, Scott. So if you enjoyed today's webinar and want to further engage with the Minitab community, we invite you to join us for a Minitab Exchange event. Minitab Exchange is a gathering of individuals who are seeking to leverage data analytics to improve business processes and help organizations save time and money. Minitab experts will guide the audience through topics that will help deepen their knowledge and understanding of Minitab solutions through open conversation and exchange of ideas. You'll have the chance to network with colleagues and develop new skills that can be implemented immediately. Our next Minitab Exchange event in the US is going to be on October 9th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We also have 2 exchange events in Europe, one in Coventry, United Kingdom on October 3rd, and Lyon, France on October 10th. And we also have 2 exchange events in Australia, Victoria on November 9th, and Sydney on November 29th. So please fill out the survey, which can be found in the pink survey box at the bottom of this window, and specify which location you're interested in attending so we can have the right team follow up with you. Now to close this webinar, I'd like to share some information for those who may not be as familiar with Minitab. So for 50 years, Minitab has helped companies spot trends, solve problems, and discover valuable insights into their data. In the webinar today, you'll learn about our Minitab Education Hub solution, our virtual and on-premise training services, our consulting services, and our Minitab deployment services. Some of our other solutions include Minitab Connect, Minitab Engage, Workspace, Model Ops, Real-Time SPC, and SPM. So thank you again for attending today, and we hope you found this webinar valuable. Have a